Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to Chapter 3 of Social Studies. We're going to be learning about the Southeast region of the United States. And we're going to focus on our essential question, how has the Southeast changed over time? In this chapter, you'll read about the changes in the Southeast from life in early settlements to the economy that we have today. You're also going to read about how the growth of the region affected people's lives and about the rebuilding of the region after the Civil War and the growth of modern industries. All of these different things all had an impact on how the Southeast has changed from what it was before to what it is today. So the first thing I want you to do is to flip to page 102 and 103, go through the vocabulary words and check off know it, heard it, or don't know it, and then we're going to fill in your vocabulary words and their meanings afterwards. I am going to attach the screenshot of the meanings of the vocabulary words into Google Classroom, so you'll be able to copy them in after you're done watching the video lesson. So our words for this lesson are the words boycott, commerce, estuary, evacuate, plantation, proximity, rural, secede, sharecropper, and yeoman. Once you're done going through those check boxes, we are going to start lesson 1. How do people and the environment interact? In this lesson, you're going to use your investigative skills to explore the physical features that are unique to the Southeast and see how people and the environment are connected. Reading and talking about the physical features of the Southeast will help you learn more about the connection between people and the environment. So let's go ahead and open up our workbooks to page 106. And we're going to start by looking, as always, at the blue bars on the side so that we can begin doing our work and annotating on these pages. On the left side, it says, look at the photo. What does it show? What do you think this article will be about? Now read the article. Circle words that you don't know. Underline clues that answer the questions. How are the baskets made? What materials were used? Who made them? How were the baskets used? And then after you're done with that, what natural resources can you observe were used in a Cherokee basket? Underline the ways basket weavers were influenced by nature when they were making baskets. Cherokee basket weaving. The Native American people, the Cherokee, originally lived in the Southeast. The Cherokee people have been making baskets for thousands of years. Cherokee baskets are known for their complex designs and contrasting colors. They are made from natural materials. Cherokee women used fibers from cane, oak, hickory, and honeysuckle plants and trees that are readily available in their environment. They used sharp tools to strip the bark and leaves from the plants. Then they cut the material into long, thin strips. These strips are woven together to make strong baskets. Basket weavers use natural plant dyes to color the strips. The most common dyes are bloodroot for a yellow color, black walnut for brown, and elderberries for red. The pattern or arrangement of the woven strips gives Cherokee baskets their unique designs. Patterns are not written down, but are shared among family members. These patterns are often inspired by nature. The creative designs represent features of the environment, such as mountains or rivers. Primary source, Cherokee basket. Cherokee people wove baskets by hand from natural materials. In the past, baskets were used in everyday life. They were used to store food in the home. Some baskets had straps added so men could carry hunting tools with them. Other baskets were woven to be used as strainers for catching and holding fish. If cared for, a basket could last for several generations. Today, Cherokee baskets are still functional, but they are also considered works of art. So go ahead and complete all of the tasks that you have here in the margins, and then we're going to move in to your pages. Now for page 108, we're focusing on identifying the main idea and the key details. So identifying key details in the text and visuals will help you better understand the big idea about a topic. The main idea is the most important idea about a topic. Key details give important information that support the main idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the text and look at the pictures or the images. We're going to look for key details in the text and the images. And we're going to use the key details to figure out what the main idea is. What is the thing that the author is trying to tell us? Now, one of the key details that we can focus on is that the Cherokee used materials that were available in their environment to make their baskets. We also learned that the Cherokee used natural dyes to color the different strips of wood. And the patterns of the baskets were inspired by nature, and they were shared through family generations. So the main idea that we can gather from all of this is that the environment had a big influence on how Cherokee people made their baskets. So you can go ahead and fill in these boxes right here. And then we're going to go into your textbook and read pages 124 to 133. And we're going to use the information from there to come up with 3 key details and a main idea. So let's go ahead and open up your textbook. And we're going to start, not on lesson 2, my apologies, guys. We are going to start on lesson 1, how do people and the environment interact? In the Southeast, mountains, marshes, swamps, coastal plains, and rivers are all part of the environment. Water plays an important role in forming many of the unique features of the region. More than half of the Southeast region is made up of coastal plains. This is an area of low elevation, dotted with islands and wetlands, or sandy marshes and swamps. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, all rest on the Atlantic coastal plain. Farther inland is the Piedmont, a plateau region with higher elevation. It leads up to the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. These foothills create a line of waterfalls or fall line on the rivers. It is difficult for boats to travel up rivers past the fall line because of the steep geography. Florida also shares the Gulf of Mexico coastline with Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Gulf Coast states are known for their low elevation and wetlands. The Gulf Coastal Plains is similar to the Atlantic Coastal Plains. Rivers flowing into the Gulf of Mexico widen and form large wetlands. West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas are inland states. These states have no coastline. They rely on many rivers for transporting people and goods. The southern ranges of the Appalachian Mountains, as well as the southern Ozark Highlands, are part of this region. So, some key details that we can pick up already is that water shapes the environment of the Southeast and creates waterways. That's how people get around from place to place, and it's also how they transport goods from one region to another. So for our first key detail, we can put in that water shapes the environment of the Southeast and creates waterways. We also learned that the majority of the Southeast, or most of the Southeast, is made up of what we call coastal plains, and there are many wetlands. There's a lot of water areas in the Southeast. Physical features of the Southeast. The unique physical features of the Southeast are formed by land and water. There are 2 long coastlines, one along the Atlantic Ocean and the other along the Gulf of Mexico. The land varies from hills and mountains to plains and wetlands. The Appalachian Mountains form a ridge down the middle of the region. The Blue Ridge Mountains, a sub-range of the Appalachians, gets their name from the blue haze coming from the trees that cover the mountains. The Great Smoky Mountains in North Carolina and Tennessee have the region's tallest peaks. The coastal plains form sandy reefs and islands along the coast of the Southeast. The Outer Banks are a string of barrier islands. They stretch along the coast of Virginia and North Carolina. The Florida Keys are a series of islands that extend down the southern tip of Florida. These have very low elevation and are affected by the ocean's tides. In the morning, clouds hover over the Smoky Mountains. Now on page 127, the Piedmont is an area of foothills bordering the Appalachian Mountains. Changes in elevation there cause rivers to plunge over waterfalls. Some cities in the southeast use the moving water at fall lines to generate electricity. The southeast relies on the waterways for moving people and goods. Chesapeake Bay lies on the boundary between the northeast and the southeast. It is the largest estuary in the United States. An estuary is a place where salt water and fresh water mix. Another major estuary is formed where the Mississippi River flows into the Gulf of Mexico. Southern Florida's low elevation creates the perfect conditions for the Everglades, a subtropical marsh wetland. The Everglades cover 4,300 square miles of southern Florida and are one of the largest wetlands in the world. The climate of the Southeast. The Southeast is known for its mild, temperate climate. Summers are hot and humid, while winters are cool and rainy. Temperatures in the region rarely reach the freezing point, other than in the mountains. Coastal areas on the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico can experience severe tropical storms called hurricanes. The Southeast also enjoys plenty of sun. Plant life. The climate of the Southeast is set apart by its long growing season. A variety of plants and trees grow well in varied environments. Crops such as cotton and oranges can grow there because of the climate. Highlands of the Appalachian Mountains and Piedmont have hardwood forests. Oak, beech, and hickory trees are common in the highlands. People use the lumber from hardwood forests to make homes, furniture, and paper. Palm trees are common in the Southeast. People use palm trees for food and fibers. The palmetto is a type of palm tree known for its toughness. It is the state symbol of South Carolina. The wetlands are also rich in plant life. Marshes form where short grasses grow. Swamps form when wetlands have trees and bushes. Cypress trees grow in swamps. They are known for their wide trunks and webs of roots that create homes for wetland animals. Animal life. The Southeast has a wide variety of wildlife. Wetlands support many kinds of fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Water birds make their homes in swamps and marshes. Many migrating birds rely on the warm climate of the Southeast for their winter feeding grounds. Large predators thrive in the Southeast. American alligators live in the rivers, marshes, and swamps. Florida panthers also live in a variety of habitats in the Southeast, ranging from the Florida wetlands to the Appalachians. European settlers hunted panthers almost to extinction. Today, panthers are returning, but they are still endangered. Another endangered predator found only in the Southeast is the red wolf. Unfortunately, the habitats of the Southeast are vulnerable to humans. People have cleared forests and drained swamps to make room for towns and farms. Without a habitat, many animals have nowhere to live. Natural resources. People of the Southeast depend on the environment to provide natural resources. Rich soil, plenty of water, and long growing seasons make crops an important resource in the Southeast. Cash crops are plants that are grown to make a profit. Some of the major cash crops include tobacco, cotton, peanuts, beans, sugarcane, soybeans, and sweet potatoes. Native American people grew beans, sweet potatoes, corn, and tomatoes to eat and trade. Later, European settlers cleared the land to plant cash crops. People from Africa were enslaved and brought over to the Southeast to work on plantations or large crop farms. Enslaved labor allowed for large amounts of cash crops on plantations to be produced. This played an important part in the growth of the original colonies. Peanuts are an important cash crop in the Southeast. They were originally planted as a rotation crop where cotton was grown. George Washington Carver researched alternative uses for peanuts while he studied at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. Today, peanuts are processed into hundreds of products, including peanut oil and peanut butter. Trees that grow citrus fruits such as oranges, limes, and lemons grow well in the far southern parts of the region. Florida is known for its oranges. The key lime is named for the Florida Keys where its trees grow. Other fruits such as peaches are grown in South Carolina and Georgia. The wetlands provide the right conditions for growing rice. Rice was one of the Southeast's first cash crops. It must be grown in marshes that are partially covered in fresh water. The Southeast is rich in natural resources found in the ground, including minerals, coal, and oil. Minerals found in Florida are used to make the fertilizer that helps crops grow. Oil can be found underground or under the ocean throughout the Gulf Coast. Louisiana is one of the top producers of oil in the United States. Coal mining is an important industry in the Appalachian states, especially West Virginia. Early settlers used coal to heat their homes. Later, people used coal to run steam trains. Today, coal is used to power electric plants. Forests in the Southeast produce lumber for building homes and furniture. Factories in North Carolina are famous for their fine wood furniture. Ground-up wood fibers are made into paper and cardboard in Georgia and Tennessee. Longleaf pine trees produce sap that can be made into tar. Pine tar was used to preserve wood and seal the hulls and decks of ships. Water is an important natural resource for the Southeast. Fishing is a major industry. Fish, oysters, and crabs are found along the Atlantic coast. The Gulf Coast provides shrimp, crabs, and tuna. Freshwater fishing is also important to the people who live in the region. Native Americans of the Southeast. The Native American people of the Southeast include the Cherokee, Seminole, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Creek. They developed their own cultures and traditions based on the environment of the Southeast. The Cherokee people lived and traded from the Appalachian Mountains to the Mississippi River. They spoke the Iroquois language found throughout the Eastern Woodland group. Men and women had equal roles in Cherokee culture. Women participated in the village council and kept the homes. Girls helped their families tend to crops and make things for their home, while boys hunted, fished, and made tools. Many of the native people spoke the Muskogee language. Some groups lived near waterways of the Mississippi River and used those waterways for trade. Like the Cherokee, the Seminole and the Creek tribes were productive farmers. They grew beans, corn, squash, sweet potatoes, and tobacco. Forests, rivers, and wetlands provided wild animals that hunters used for meat. They used the skins to make shoes and clothing. The Native American groups of the Southeast built homes from the materials available in their environment. Their houses were made of wood and cane that were woven together. The frames were covered in mud or clay. Grass and bark were used to cover the roofs. Seminole in Florida lived in dwellings made of palmetto thatch over a cypress log frame. Sequoyah. A Cherokee silversmith named Sequoyah developed the first written Native American alphabet. Sequoyah borrowed letters from Greek, Hebrew, and English. With these letters, he created 85 symbols, each representing a Cherokee sound. It took him 12 years to create the alphabet. In 1824, Sequoyah began using the new writing system to send printed messages from Arkansas to Cherokee people living farther east. The Cherokee people learned the alphabet quickly because the symbols were based on the way the spoken language sounded. They called the written language talking leaves because it was printed on paper that resembled tree leaves, and it allowed them to talk with others over long distances. In 1828, Sequoyah's alphabet was used in the first Native American newspaper called the Cherokee Phoenix. It focused on issues affecting Native American communities. A version of it still exists today. Sequoyah became a respected leader for his contributions to Native American culture. The giant redwood tree is named Sequoyah in his honor. So let's go ahead and jump back into our book. Now we can talk about 3 key details and a main idea, and you can pick any 3 details and main idea from the text. So we read several things. If you want to focus on specifically the land, we can say that the water shaped the environment. for the Southeast, that most of the Southeast was made up of coastal plains with lots of wetlands, and that people inland used rivers to transport goods and to move people from place to place. All of that comes together to give us the main idea that water is a very important part of the environment in the Southeast, and it affects the way that people live. Once you've completed this section, you can go into our next pages that have our writing section. So in the Write About It section, it says write and cite evidence. In your opinion, which features of the environment or natural resources were the most important to people living in the Southeast? List details that support your opinion. So there's a lot of different options to pick from based on what we read, but I want you to include information about the climate conditions, about if you want to talk about the food, you can talk about the growing seasons and cash crops. If you want to talk about the water, you can talk about the waterways and how they were used. Or if you want to talk about the resources in the land, you can talk about the underground resources like coal and oil and so on. You have a lot of options to pick from. And then on our next page, 111, where it says connect to the essential question, under where it says pull it together, think about the environmental features of the Southeast that you read about in this lesson. How did geography affect the way people interacted with the environment of the Southeast? How did this change the region over time? So here you want to include information about the geography, about the land, and how where they lived affected the kind of food that they had, the homes that they made, the resources that they used and had available to them. You can talk about specifically about the land and the water and how it impacted their lives. But please make sure for all of your writing sections and anytime you're doing writing, please use your best handwriting. If you're writing in sections like this where you need complete sentences, make sure you're following all of your sentence rules to start with a capital and end with a punctuation mark. Neat handwriting, check your spelling and grammar. And as always, please make sure you're turning in your best work. If you have any questions for me, fourth grade, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.